Okay, so today we're going to be diving into what I consider to be one of the most underused tools and tactics that you can leverage on your high ticket sales calls, and that thing is leveraging the deposit track. Now, I'm not going to cover it in too much detail here. I'm actually going to show you a clip from a coaching call that I did recently where I explain the purpose of the deposit track. And I know on the surface of things, you're just thinking, well, it's a way to get commitment. But when you position the deposit track in the right way, it's actually a fantastic tool that ensures either that you close the deal because you're enabled to reveal the real objection, or that you're able, as you probably already know, to get some form of commitment. But the long story short of this is that you must be using the deposit track on pretty much every single call that looks like it's not going to close on the first call, because it really is a win-win. So let's get stuck in those situations where it's a little bit more of a gray area, where you're like, realistically, they should be getting started, but I can understand to an extent why they're not. Deposit track, right? The deposit track is so powerful. It took me well over a year to fully understand the purpose of a deposit track, right? Because initially you're thinking, oh, the whole reason why I'm taking a deposit is just so that I can get a small amount of commitment up front, so that it's less likely that they're going to just disappear off the face of the earth. But there's another reason why you always want to go for a deposit track. And it's because if you frame it in the right way, and that's the key part, if you frame it in a way where it is illogical to say no to the deposit, if they do say no, the natural next step is that you will discover the real objection, right? So let's say, for example, with like a sales program, right? You're thinking about, maybe I should get into this. I don't know. I'm a little bit hesitant. This is the last bit of money that I have. If I do this, like, I'm going to be absolutely fucked if it doesn't work out. I just want to make sure that the information is high quality. You would structure the deposit track around what I'm going to do. Seeing standard of process in this situation is for me to send you over X, and so that you can make a more informed decision on this. But in order for me to be able to do that, you have to put down X, right? Now, it doesn't make sense for them to say no, because it is true. If they get access to those resources, they are going to be able to make a more informed decision. If they genuinely are bought into the product, and that is their final concern, that they just want a little bit of peace of mind, of course, they're going to put down the money. But if that is not their real objection and it's something else, they will say no. And then you can follow it up with, well, in my experience, typically when people say no to this, yada, 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 it's because of the fact that they're a little bit concerned about the money. Maybe they're a little bit hesitant about getting started, something to do with the product. Out of those three options, what is coming up for you? Okay. Again, is all of this making sense, or do I need to cover certain things in more detail, or maybe less detail?
Yeah, you said in terms of, going about asking for the deposit in the right way. I feel like, because some offers have different kind of tiers of, spending money. Like, so for some, a deposit could just be the physical financial commitment towards the paid in full. Others, it could be like, that first kind of step on the purchase or value ladder. So in terms of, framing that deposit in the right way, and instead of maybe going about it of like, oh, I just want to see that you're committed and you're going to come back, which, as you say, is kind of the more inexperienced way to do it. How are you framing that approach towards the deposit in order to bring out, as you say, that real objection, and to understand, where they're at?
It has to be tied to value. It has to be tied to value, because otherwise it is like you're just drawing a line in the sand.
Can you elaborate?
So you have to tie it to something that is going to be of value to the prospect. And usually that is sending them over a resource. It doesn't have to be an exact resource that is geared towards their specific concern. It's just something that is which enables them to see that what you are saying is true, or helps them to make a better decision, right? If they're saying, I'm lacking clarity, or I'm lacking confidence that this is going to be the right thing because I don't know that it's going to work, and you send them over a video or a resource or whatever it is that is fucking insane, and they can go through that and see, wow, this is amazing. As a result of watching this, I definitely want to buy. Of course, it makes sense that they want to have access to that.
So you put that on the other end of the deposit, essentially.
What do you mean by the other end?
Well, because I'm saying it, how do you go about getting that? Like you said, the deposit route, right? The deposit track. Yeah. So I'm asking, like, what is the best way to approach that in terms of asking for that deposit in the way that you said will uncover the real objection? So how would you go about, getting that initial deposit, which isn't in the way of like just trying to make sure they're committed and make sure they're going to come back to the call?
Okay, so it would be something to the extent of, okay, Casey, so given that you want to go away and have a little conversation with your missus, which is absolutely fine, by the way, the standard of practice in this situation is for you to put down a small deposit. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can literally be, like $500. And part of the reason why we ask people to do this is to make a commitment to yourself, right? But the real reason why we ask people to do this, especially in your situation, is because it allows me to send over a resource that you can go through, and more importantly, you can go through with your missus, so both of you can make a more informed decision on whether this is going to be the right thing for you or not. So with all of that in mind, we can get that process for you if you'd like.
Right.
Sure. Because if you structure it in that way, why would you say no? Now, the other thing is, it depends on what offer you are on. I personally would say all deposits should be refundable, right? It doesn't make sense to have a non-refundable deposit. Another thing is you may want to change the language, and this is going to be dependent on how the conversation is going from deposit to down payment, because down payment suggests more of a commitment, whereas deposit suggests more that it's refundable, right? But that's the general structure that you're aiming for. So if you feel like you got some good value from that clip that I shared with you, feel free to subscribe. If you want to like the video, then like the video. And most importantly, if you just want to have me in your corner training you one-on-one to help you to add $20,000 to $50,000 to your monthly recurring revenue in the next 6 months or less, like I have done for hundreds of agency owners, info product owners, coaches and consultants, and also closers at this point in time, there is a link in the description that you can click to book on a call. On that call, I will figure out what is going on in your sales process at the moment that is preventing you from closing as many deals as you would like. And if I can help you, then I will show you exactly what I can do and how I can help you to scale up the money that you're making on a monthly basis. And if I can't help you, I will point you in the right direction. But with all of that said, I hope you have enjoyed this video. And as always, I will see you just now.